goes. I was going to cancel it if I didn't on that.
Okay.
Yes, one and all. This is Charlie, one of your DMs, and here tonight with the Unnamed Adventures Guild, we have Guild Talk, and we have Ty here, who's going to be a new DM for the Guild. He has an adventure that's coming up, and we're going to press everybody to, whether you play in it or watch it, to give him all the support that you should give any DM as far as that. I don't know if my overlay, not overlay, but pick or whatever is there.
Okay. Now I see an icon.
Now you see my pretty face.
Yes, I do.
All right. But what the Guild Talk is to try to foster, for those that maybe didn't see the last one, is try to foster the interaction in the Unnamed Adventures Guild, to have the guild members' voices heard, if possible, to have questions, answers, or issues resolved in a local in-guild forum. These, whether just because we tape them doesn't mean we're broadcasting them out past the guild. This is one product that we want to keep solely in the guild, because guild business is guild business, so to say. That way you feel open up a freer forum to talk with what you concerns you may have. On the last Guild Talk back in April, there was a couple subjects that were brought on up, like clean up files in the file tab. To address that, I contacted Facebook, asked if there was a way to do it, and at this point, all Facebook did was send us a response back after many days of thanks for the input, thanks for the support. We'll look at this and try to make the product better. So I take that as right now there's not a way to do it, and so it does make it somewhat cluttered as far as that. The other issue that was brought forward, and I thought we addressed it there during it, but we'll readdress it if folks need to, is there was some questions about using Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or anything like that to run games in. The guild does not say what the DM, what platforms the DM chooses to use. We support our DMs 150%. All we desire from them is that they bring the best product that they can, and that the enjoyers and the DM can enjoy themselves and have a good game. So if you're someone that DMs and you like Fantasy Grounds, then you can, if you're going to DM a game in the Unnamed Adventurers Guild, then you can build a Fantasy Grounds game or a Roll20 and run it in there. Or what's the other one there, Ty? Wasn't it Dice and Decks that was doing one too?
Yeah, there's virtual play space. I think I've got it on my computer. Yeah, it's kind of it's a 3D environment, and I think the makers of that, they're still working on that product, though the beta version's out. They've got some kind of new map editor out also, but I haven't looked into that much yet. But as long as I would think, as long as the whoever the DM is makes clear that they're using whatever software or whatever, Hangout, as long as they make that clear when they put their post up about the adventure, I don't think that's a problem.
No, I don't either. And yes, if you're going to use a product like that and you put up your game tag announcement of it, please put that in there so everyone can realize the where it's going to be played and how, basically. I know there's been some confusions on communications with some of the guild members on situations as far as frequency of games and things like that, and we've been handling them as they've come. I hope that we've addressed those individuals' concerns. I don't know if I can say much more on that other than just I appreciate the input from the in the way that the individuals have done it, because they brought it to one of us that are admin being admins of the site. But I'd also say if you can't find one of the admins, get one of the GMs, because I'm going to end up, that ends up throwing Ty under the bus somewhat if they can't find Ian or Dan or myself to get in touch with as far as that, to try to help resolve some of the issues. Some just keep in mind, folks, this is a hobby for most of us. It's not a business. We have real life, and sometimes real life conflicts with some of the things that we have that we'd like to do here for the hobby. And it's not meant towards a negative towards the players. It's not meant negative towards the GMs as far as that, because players have real life things that impact too. And just try to be, I ask for everyone to be gracious and understanding. Things happen. We have a great group of people here. For really, I think, especially when I'm listening and reading from a lot of the other similar groups that are out there that I happen to be part of, we don't have a lot of the drama. We're smaller too. Now, keep that in mind. But I think most of the people here talk well with each other. There's some that haven't, and we got to learn how to deal with that in our own way and on our own as far as that. So but there again, that was the whole purpose behind putting a set of community rules out. We were getting big enough where it was about time, and we were getting enough different personalities where eventually things would come into play. And lo and behold, shortly after we put them up, things came into play. So isn't that the way of nature?
Yeah, it is.
You know, so and once you put, and this is my feeling, once you put rules up, you bind yourself to the rules unless they really are so constrictive, they need to be readdressed, revised, or amended. And so for the good and the bad, we hold ourselves accountable to the rules we have today. I think they're pretty wide and open. That allows for flexibility. And on certain egregious situations, I think they're very adapt for reacting very quickly, in my opinion. I may be wrong. And here again, this is the space for folks to come and say, well, hey, I think we need to do this or this, and how's the rest feel? So please, yeah, we're going to try to have these somewhat regular so we can keep a good metric on ourselves, so we don't get too far off our core charter, let's say, of enjoying the hobby, furthering the hobby, and having fun. And not necessarily in that order. For me, it's have fun and then the others. But those are the three main core charters in my mind. We had last session, we had some suggestions about trying to bring random PCs to bring in hooks and like that. We're trying to do that. I think some of the guys, and when I say guys, I'm talking DMs, are kind of got that going on. So I think we're addressing that, I think, in a positive way. It may not go as fast as what some wanted, but it's going there. They definitely, they said they wanted bigger monsters, hack and slash. So in the last adventure, I brought in a bigger monster for more hack and slash, and had to tame it down because it was really, and Ty can tell you, because he has the stats on the monster that I built, and halfway, so we didn't totally kill everybody as far as that. So I think we're addressing that. The more magic items deal, I think we're slowly moving our way there. I think we need to come, personally, I think we need to come to more of a group consensus at some point as far as what in game mechanics, what level of fantasy are we looking to drive here? Is it going to be extremely high fantasy, a lot of magic? Is it going to be a low magic scenario, or is it going to just be medium? I've always liked kind of the high fantasy side of things, but I do also appreciate the medium. And I know we've been keeping it low to medium right at the moment. So if you have any input on that, please go ahead. And I've run my gums long enough. I'll let Ty, since he's the only one that showed up.
Yeah. Well, as far as magic items go and sort of the magic level of the adventures, in a lot of ways, I've enjoyed the low magic levels we've had, but I kind of like all of it. I don't mind, gaming groups or campaigns where there's high magic or medium magic or even low magic. I just like to know what I'm in for. And I mean, if the general consensus is people want more magic items, I don't have a problem with that. I think I've said before, my only concern with not having magic items is when you run into creatures that are only during fighting, when you run into creatures that are only hurt by magic. And with 5th edition, that's not as much of a problem as it was in earlier editions of the game, though it's still there to some extent. Yeah,
I agree with that. The 5th edition's a little more forgiving than what 3.5, 2nd edition, and 1st edition was on that, because instead of doing no damage, you're doing half damage.
Yeah, and even
with a non-magic.
Yeah, even going back to if you go back to 1st edition, I mean, there were creatures, usually pretty powerful ones, that they couldn't be hurt unless you had a +3, +4, or +5 weapon, and that was, even in 1st edition, that was pretty rare to come by, something that powerful. So that it's a lot easier nowadays as far as that goes. Now go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do like, and here, I like the avenue, at least that I've taken, and I know it's a little self-serving to say it this way, but right now we have 2 characters that have some items that, or going to have some items that are giving them pluses, but not pluses to it could be combat. They're to the skill of intimidate.
Yeah.
And personally, I like that because it brings in the aspect of putting the skills that are there, that the game mechanics have placed in there, give them a little bit more relevance if the character chooses for it. And to me, it plays with what those 2 characters have, and it makes sense. You got Store with his owlbear cape and his ugly fox hat, but the owlbear cape that he wears gives him that plus when he's wearing it for intimidate, because most people would be naturally intimidated by an owlbear, scared by it, by common sense and game mechanics. and seeing someone that's actually wearing one and evidently killed it, it translates well. The same with Fletch with the snow stake that he was part of destroying. And one, it's a strange exotic skin that he's having a cloak made out of. That will do about the same thing when he's wearing it. So if you lay it on down, you don't have it, you got it packed away or whatnot, you don't have it. It doesn't outbalance the game. And as far as that, and I think I know I have given out one magic weapon, but I think it was the Vincent's. I think I have it listed in the our guild masters conversation post there. I may have, but and it's an odd magic weapon. It's not giving a plus to hit or a plus minus, but it counts as a magic weapon, so you get full damage. And it's just that it's kind of like an oath binder. So if you swear to destroy something, it's going to hold you to that. To a degree, but it gives you where if you choose to use, Vince's character chooses to use it, and the animal needs a magic item to give it full damage, it will. So there's different ways that we can work it, but there again, it's all of us playing together, and we're trying to meet. We're not going to make everybody happy. Bottom line.
Oh no.
And we all realize that, but we're going to try to make the most as content as possible and give the best feel. So that's why we ask for input on that, so we can be fair.
I will say one thing when it comes to magic items. Traditionally speaking, adventurers generally get magic items by finding them. They defeat some monster or a bad guy, and they either find the magic item on the bad guy or in their treasure or something like that. And not always, but for the most part, I personally have never been a big fan of that because it seems a little too easy to me. For one thing, if a big bad guy has some big magical item, why isn't he using it in the fight? Or she or it or whatever. And maybe they do. A good dungeon master would make sure they do. And I'm not saying I would never do that as a dungeon master, and I don't mean to say anything bad about dungeon masters who allow player characters to find a magic item after a fight. But I personally kind of like it a little more when the players really earn the item. And now maybe that is through a big fight, but they run across a bunch of orcs and kill 4 or 5 orcs and find a +1 longsword. To me, that's just way too easy, and going back to 3rd edition, it got even easier because characters could make magic items relatively easily, at least compared to other versions of D&D. So that got even a little more easy. When I say characters need to earn magic items, I don't necessarily mean a fight. Sometimes sometimes it is just saving up the money. Maybe some wizard in town has a brooch of something that does something interesting, and he's kind of like, meh, I don't need this anymore, or I need a little extra money, or maybe some local lord has a +1 longsword and he decides to get rid of it because he's now got a +2 longsword. Whatever. Whether the characters really earn it in the combat or they pay for it and have to work for that money over several adventures or whatever. That's just my feeling. I always like it better when players or characters really have to earn a magic item. And related to that, I would warn folks, not warn, but just bring up, for people who want more magic items in a campaign or more magic in general in a campaign, that's fine. I'm great for that. But you have to remember the bad guys have it too.
Well, yeah, I'm a big fan of what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
I know here in this last week or so on some of the other channels, they were talking about, and it was even in the Sage advice, it even made it into that, if there's such thing as a crit fail in 5e. And the rules is written, the answer is no. There's no such thing as a crit fail. It's just a one is a miss. Well, I'm a firm believer, and that's why anybody that's played in my games that I've DM'd know that if you roll one, it's a crit fail. And but there again, you roll a 20, it's a crit. And so you have to me, there has to be a little bit of to me, it's that balance. It's what's fair, good for the goose, good for the gander, and it helps. And it helps to look. And I got my little tables that I like, that I've used since first edition, that I like, that I can look at and adjust it for what the monster is in my mind on the fly to give me an idea and feel. It's like the last battle with the snow snake there. And like that, there's a couple things I had to look at. Okay, this is what that percentage roll gave me, but it didn't fit the monster, because how does a monster pull that doesn't have arms or legs pull a limb? So you go with something that within that range that might fit, like lose his next turn.
Yeah, I can see something like that
on a multiple attack, but. There again, that's always been me, and I'm a big believer against what we used to call, I don't know who we're really talking to out there, as far as how far back their gaming history is. But what big gripe when I was coming on up was Monty Hall dungeons.
Yeah,
and that's I'm a big advocate against such things. I believe that, yes, you need to earn them. There's a lot of different ways to earn your magic items, even to construct them, because they had for them to be out there. Someone had to make them someplace.
Yeah,
just common sense. Now, does it mean that you walk into the general trading post and there's slews of them, and like walking into Walmart and picking out shotguns? No. Not in any of the games I'll be DMing. I'll tell you that up right now. But you do have in 5e now the artificer class and certain wizards and stuff that are classing and things that is kind of a niche that they're fulfilling. So you can hire them to do that. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. So that may be your hooks for being out on a campaign or on the different one shots. And there again, that word campaign for us, I think I need to clarify that, because I was talking to one of the guild members, and he had a different idea of what it was, how we were doing it. And the aspect is yes, I have a storyline generally, and I play in a sandbox a lot, because I allow the player characters to actually supply me at times with hooks for different things. I'll set a base mission and we'll go on out. Once that mission is completed, then it's completed. I may have a different hook that comes from it that goes along with it, but it's not that you have to be in that next one. You can pop. I'll use the term pop in and pop out. If your character is done with that one shot, two shot, three shot, whatever it is, to get to the end of that mission, like group 1 and group 2 I had there, then after that point, if one of the other DMs has something going on, your character can play in that, as long as they select you out of the guild members that apply to play in it.
Yeah.
As that you're not locked into, if you're in one of my games and we've gone up to the one point on the mission where the intent at the beginning was you made it here, you delivered that shard, then from there, if Dan runs a game, or if Ty does, or Ian, or somebody else, or myself runs another one, you can pop in and out, and you're not locked into the same character. Because I know I got some veteran guild members that, and probably one of the last ones I'm going to do for a while in June, are going to bring in new characters for them in the guild, and to play something to give them maybe some R&R in their character that they've had. They want to explore something different. This is a medium that we've used. It's not a true one shot in a sense, but it can be for your character. As far as that, we're trying to be as flexible as possible. I don't know if I've been explaining that any clearer, or if I just muddled the water like a mud puddle.
No, it makes sense to me, but I mean, I'm now a fairly long time guild member, so I guess I would kind of understand it. Yeah, it's basically, as far as guild adventures go, or as far as a campaign goes concerning the guild, there's a reoccurring world. There will be reoccurring non-player characters, and the player characters can be recurring. They can show up again. They don't have to. That's really up to the player. Like my Fletch character, I've been playing. Gosh, I think 20 adventures now.
Yeah, it's 20.
And I've not played anybody else, but I am one of the people that's coming up with a newer character for your June adventure. And actually, the reason I did that was more of it wasn't really to test out something as far as me being a player goes. It was me thinking about my Fletch character, and it's like last adventure. It's like I'm going to stay in the city for a while. That's where I need to be. So Fletch is going to stay in the city. And this adventure sounds like it will go beyond, or is way outside of Illumina. But I wanted to be part of that adventure. But since Fletch doesn't want to leave the city, I thought, I'll come up with a new character. And maybe, at least for a while, I'll see how it goes. I'll kind of have two characters. When we're going to be adventuring in or around Illumina, I'll probably play Fletch. If we're going to be out running around in the wilds or someplace else, I'll probably play my other character. At least that's my thinking for the time being. Concerning this last weekend's adventure that you ran, Charles, yeah. the only real feedback I can think of is that we needed more people. I mean, that's nothing that was your fault or anything. It just what it was,
Yeah, and we actually had one other person, but there again, that real life thing crept in, and he got a phone call from his boss and needed him on into work, and it happened right in front of us. So
I don't blame anybody. It happens.
Oh, and that's where I think that this group has been very, very good compared to a lot of the others that we've seen, because we haven't had a lot of cold shoulders with players saying, "Hey, I'm going to play," and then not show up, but constantly say I'm going to play. We have a pretty good group for showing up when they say they can, and if they can't, we generally know that something did really come on up, not just that they're doing a drive-by.
Yeah. So no, the guild is good about that. What was I going to say? I had something related to that. Now I forgot what it was. Age is catching up with me.
Disease.
Yeah, I'm headed down that road. I had it and I lost it again. Oh no, what I was going to say is, I think we also the guild does a pretty good job at soldiering on when there are difficulties. Like this past, was it a couple of weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago, Dan ran an adventure and they had all kinds of technical issues, but they still soldiered on and got through it and gained. And this past weekend, for a while there were only 2 players because somebody had to leave, and then David showed up later on, so it came back up to 3. A lot of groups would have just said, well, we're not going to game today, especially when it gets down to 2 people. And we soldiered on, and I thought it was fine adventure, I think I've said to you, I felt kind of bad because I don't know what those first creatures were, snow worms or whatever they were, but I know the big snow snake that we fought later on. Yeah, it could have been a lot tougher than
the first thing that you ran into was an old school monster, a snowflake ooze.
Oh, okay. Okay, I hadn't thought about that.
And I reached on back in the bag of old antiquities, and I said, well, that would fit for the environment and like that. And it wasn't so overpowered that the 2 of you couldn't get on by it. So
yeah.
That's why I went with that. I was looking at that for a couple different little just menacing attacks for the full group.
Okay.
So that's why I had that on. I had that in the queue for a possible, but and then it became more of a feature, and then we came up with additional player character, which I did appreciate Dave coming on in, because it did allow me to go ahead and give the debut of the snow snake that I sat down and manufactured.
Oh yeah. Maybe at some point you can reskin him somehow and use him again, or I don't know. If that white dragon ever shows up, maybe he'll bring a pack of them with him sometime.
Oh. I don't know about a pack of them, but yeah, now that they're now that you guys have seen them, not that they're known prolifically through the cold wastelands of the Great Waste up there, but that's a beast that you ran into in that environment. So at least for the knowledge base of the guild, because you got on back to Pincus and let him talk about it, that it's now a new creature. Now, it could be nothing more than a low-level campaign of a bunch of guys going on out, not to attack one, but to try to survey to find out how many they are. Or is that just was it a one-time beastie?
Fletch doesn't want to go on that adventure. My new character might, but Fletch is like, nope. He's had enough of the cold.
Yeah. But along with that, I don't know what else the guild members would want. I know I will say we'll have to work on trying to have maybe a clear context of communications, so there's not confusions. And I'll have to take ownership that I think for some of the confusion there when I was talking with Matt, and I think I may gave him the wrong idea on a particular adventure on the time and frame, but and I do apologize publicly for to that if I gave that wrong impression, but we'll have to work on it. And I know definitely I'll have that on my little postums up in front of me, so I keep that in front of me, so I remember to try to be a little bit clearer on when the game dates are, game times, and such. And he did stay up, and I thank him a lot for staying up quite late, because he's one of our Australian players, and the time frame, even for him compared to my time frames here in Europe, is just that much more impacting for him and his hobby. So
yeah, I thought about Yeah, we occasionally run into some little hiccups, I guess you could say, because of the time differences for all of us. And, somebody forgets or they're not real clear. And I'm not really sure what else to do about it. I mean, as far as the guild goes, it's, things are posted and Facebook things are posted. I just, it's going to happen when you're dealing with different people in different parts of the globe. And, I don't know your exact situation, Charlie, but I know I'm fortunate in that, for one, I work from home. So unless I have something like a local meeting or doctor's appointment or something like that, I can just about make gaming anytime, but I realize most people don't have that luxury.
Yeah, and right at the moment, I don't, but here after and with here this June July timeframe where I'll be somewhat out of pocket on the later side of June and through part of July is I'm leaving Germany, going back to the States. And when I get back to the States, I'm going to be setting back up in my house in New York. And once I get that set back on up, which hopefully shouldn't be too awful long, I'll be retired. So I'll have a lot more time to kind of focus over onto things. So hopefully be able to improve my abilities on coordinations.
And you'll have a new time zone to get used to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll have the Eastern Standard Time, but that's the time zones for me have never really been overly difficult as far as that. And if I don't have to wake up in the morning to go to work like I have to now, getting up to play a game at 1 o'clock in the morning,
yeah,
will have minor impact compared to what it does now. There's some days I can do that, and other days, just can't. So, so after my retirement from federal service, I'll go ahead and actually become more engaged with the guild and doing coordinations, and maybe try to improve some of the things that we see and have more product to offer, I guess is the way to put it. I hate to say product because we're not selling nothing. We're looking at giving fun and a good time. But it is a term that people, I think, kind of understand in the community we're in.
Well, of late, I mean, you just about couldn't ask more from the guild of late. I mean, you ran an adventure last weekend, and then there's this video today, and then Dan's running next weekend, and then I think you're running the weekend after that, I think. And then I'm running the weekend after that. So there's at least a guild adventure of one type or another pretty much every weekend for about a month straight now.
Yeah, and my hopes was to at least have back when trying to push things a little bit, was to ensure that we had at least one guild adventure a month.
Oh yeah.
And for the most part, I think on the average, if we average what we've had since we've been an open guild or operating as the guild, I think our average puts us pretty much right about there. There may have been 1 month or 2 months there where there wasn't much going on, but then the other months, like you've said, we got 1, 2, 3 back to back almost. So when you average it, I think we hit our mark.
Yeah, I'd say so. Might even be a little bit over it, possibly. But yeah, I'd say at least one a month.
And I don't count the guild talk as part of that. I'm just talking adventures themselves, because this is more organizational admin intended.
Well, and I know too, When I DM for the guild, it'll be my first time DMing for the guild, and it'll actually be my first time DMing live. I've DM'd through Hangouts before, but I've never done it live before, so I'll see what difference that will make. And of all the players who are so far signed up for my adventure, I think it will be. I'm pretty sure it'll be my first time as a dungeon master for all of them. I think.
Okay, cool.
So I'll have a lot of firsts, and I'll see how that goes. And like I said, I've got 3 or 4 ideas for adventures that are all related somehow around my first adventure. So we'll see how that works out. And during your sort of down period, maybe I can take up the slack some and run more.
Yeah.
But then again, within the first 5 minutes, maybe my players will decide to go off in left field, and who knows what happens.
Yeah, vampire foxes.
Vampire foxes. Or yeah, you did throw me for a loop with the white dragon the other day, because I wasn't expecting that. I'll admit that.
Now that one, the white dragon, was a pre-programmed situation. There again, tailored that one way back, because he and the silver dragon are antagonists.
Yeah,
they're fighting over some of that domain and such. So that's why he's in there trying to do a mission creep, I guess you'd call it, on in to grab more property. And Silver Oakenheart is there trying to defend it off in certain ways. And there again, those are other hooks that could be used down the line to bring things back. And I find so many different angles for so many different events through the course of you guys going, that I say, that's interesting.
Well, and I'm kind of looking forward to that too, to see where the players take what I'm thinking I have planned for them anyway.
And it sounds like a heck of a game for what we were talking about, and I plan on watching it, because I don't want to play in it because I got too many vested interest in it.
Oh yeah, and for anybody who's watching this, any other players who are watching this, I'll give you a little warning now. The person who is kind of the main villain behind my group of adventurers is mainly a non-combatant, but he is very, very smart. In fact, probably smarter than most. I'll just say he will do unexpected things. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, cool.
Unexpected in traditional D&D gaming, anyway.
Well, that's, and that's why I say I'm looking forward to it. I like the storyline that you talked about with it. I think it's going to be real interesting. I think the community is going to really love it because of the different twists that you have for it. So I give it right now, with just what I know, good 2 thumbs up with a possible pinky.
With a possible pinky. Okay. I'll have to see if I can earn the pinky.
But I don't know. Is there anything else that you can think of that we could talk about that the guild guys may want to know about, could think of?
Nothing's really coming to mind at the moment.
I just thinking about infinite roleplay and nerdarchy and fantastic dimensions and the one-shot group and drop dice, as far as those guys that have given us support throughout the time. So keep them in mind. They're great. All of them are great guys. If you got questions about certain things, they will definitely try to, if they don't know, they'll push you to someone that they ran into that would know to help you on out. And with Infinite Roleplay, the new map is due to his time and effort that he sat down at my request to make a more realistic map, kind of like we've seen on other channels from our hex map. So, and he's done it. I think he did a real great job.
Yeah.
And on that, and that's one of the reasons why in the last game I used that X split, playing with it, a new product for me, and I had that up in the background to try to give that new map a little bit of airtime, because I think it deserves it myself on that.
Oh yeah, that's a good looking map.
Yep, and yeah, drawing maps and things like that. Drop Dice, Infinite Roleplay are great guys to go to, whether or not they'll have all the answers, but they'll because it was Drop Dice that redid our city map for Illumina for me from an old city map I had. He digitized it and did it up for us, so he did a good job, and I've been able to go on in and edit it when we needed. So I give Chris Wayham, Drop Dice, big thanks on that. And there again, Nerdarchy, constant food source for little menaces and things like that, and perspectives for how to role play, be a better player, be a better DM. What does your, like their last one, what does your ranger class say about you? I thought was kind of cute. The way that is, and that can be applied to any character class that we as players like to choose from, and how to do it if you want to break away from certain classic tropes on that. So good resource, a real good resource. And there again, once in a while they come up with something that inspires me so much I got to put it in a game, like the Draconic Flu.
Yeah,
I do love that.
They have their latest adventure, at least as of this morning Eastern time, or their latest video. I mean, took a look at henchmen and followers and things like that in 5th edition D&D. You don't see that too much anymore. I know that was kind of a big thing for high level characters back in 1st edition, maybe a little bit in 2nd edition.
Well, with the Cavalier class in 1st edition, going to 2nd edition, that really came into full a presence of its own back then, because that was a true knight, and the knight had his squire and had his entourage, so to say.
Yeah,
henchman. And yeah, we used to, I know back under 1st edition, if we didn't have certain skills, would go out and hire them from the Thieves Guild or a alchemist or a sage or something like that, and tag them along for those specialized areas. But yeah, you're right. In 5th edition, you don't quite see that as much, and you didn't. And I think it started drifting away with 3rd edition.
Yeah. Because I can remember, even by the time back in 1st edition, even by the time you were like 9th and 10th level, you were maybe buying land and having castles built and stuff like that. And, you don't see so much of that too much nowadays. But I think it was more built into the game then. Like you said, the Cavalier class was one. The Barbarian class had could like summon a barbarian horde to come down out of the north. Things like that.
Yeah, you're higher, and they actually had in 1st edition your higher level fighters and clerics like that would set up either keeps or cloisters and start that. Especially once they got up, it started working about 10th level, and really predominant the 12th and above as far as that. But you talk to some of the old timers that are still breathing from TSR, and that was a mechanism that they put in place because of the high level characters. They didn't figure anybody would go much above 10th level or want to go much above 10th level. So they came up with certain things, certain monsters, certain events, experience-wise, and things to address that and make it challenging if you wanted to use that character. And if you were world building, allowed you to have actually a semi-active NPC that had excellent backstory because you had someone that built him from first all the way on up.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I don't guess I've got anything else to talk about unless you do.
No, I don't. I wish we would have had a few more participants from the guild, but there again, it is what it is. I will say the one last outstay. Please support your local DM. As far as that, please support your local DM. I don't care if it's a home game, if it's an online game, if these guys, whether it's a quick throw together, true 100% sandbox random dungeon, or if it's something they sat down and they planned for you, support them because they're out here as much time as you put into your characters, they're putting in more for the event. And try to participate as much as possible with their games and give them the best support that you can as a PC and as a player. I see this as here lately, last 2 weeks on the other channels, somewhat of an ongoing discussion thread too, as far as that. And can't say it enough. If we support each other, then we have a total package.
Yeah, I agree.
So if there's something you'd like to say, go ahead.
Well, along the same vein there, I'll say if you've never been a dungeon master, but you've been a player, and especially after you've played for a while and you feel like you're getting a little experience, give DMing a try. I mean, if you're scared of it, once you do it a few times, you'll find it's not as terrifying as you might think it is if you've never done it, and you never know. You might like being somebody might like being a DM more than they are a player. In my experience, that's kind of a rare individual, but there are some out there. I think going back to Nerdarchy, Scott Garraby, who shows up in their channel from time to time, it seemed like in one of their videos, Scott either had never been a player or had only done it maybe like once or twice. I can't remember exactly. He's somebody who loves being the game master, and that's pretty much all he does. So, I use Scott as an example. There are people out there like that. They like. One thing you can look at it is that some people enjoy is when you're playing a character, at least for that session, you're stuck to that character. Dungeon Master, world full of characters that you can play.
Oh yeah, and that's what draws a lot of the ones, like you say, that do love to be dungeon masters. To be dungeon masters, because they can play multiple personalities. I think it helps for a dungeon master to be civilized a lot. They have more than one personality to put across on the for the different characters.
No, and one of the things I like about dungeon mastering is I might be rare in this, I don't know, but one, I like being surprised by the players. I mean, I like it when players do things or go weird tangents or do the unexpected thing. I like that because to me that's a challenge because I have to find a very quick way to respond to that. And so I enjoy that aspect. And kind of related to that, some of the favorite NPCs I've ever had the fun of playing were usually not like somebody I've been planning on, like I've got stats written down for and I know their backstory. Those haven't been my favorites. My favorite NPCs have been like the spur of the moment. The players decide to go off and say, I want to talk to this guard or bartender or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I've got to come up with somebody real quick. And a lot of those times, those have been my favorite NPCs to portray. So that's another reason why I like being surprised by players. They kind of keep me on my toes, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, and some of the fun moments in our games have been things that you guys have said tongue in cheek for me to bring around, and like that. Hey, because it's good ideas, it's good food. And there again, that makes it, that shows how much of a co-op the adventures can be.
Yeah, we still have to fight a vampire fox sometime. I know we came close that once.
Who said you hadn't already? We're just waiting for a full moon for store.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh. I'm glad I bought that silver rapier then, if that helps.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. We were talking about magic, but a lot of the monsters attacked with that need magic to attack them to do damage also take damage with silver, which is an easy way in this system. I say easy. I mean, it takes by the player's handbook 100 gold pieces to silver your weapon, so you can use it that way between the material and artisanship to get it. But it is a way to give the player characters a means without necessarily a +2, +3 sword.
Yeah, and it's somewhat. Yeah, especially for lower level characters, it's more realistic, And while 100 gold pieces is a good little chunk, it's not an unattainable amount by any means for most characters.
No, generally it's not. So overall, with the 5e and that, I don't mind the system and the mechanics with it. And here again, as a community or as a guild, we'll come together and we'll get our sweet spot, which makes the most people happy with the level of magic as far as that. So.
Okay.
So I'll take that as my next due out to try to do something so we can get a broader feel. Maybe I'll put a poll up on the web on the guild page.
Oh, that may not be a bad.
And let that run. In fact, I got to close out today. Yeah, today I got to close out because the other poll that I had there, and I'll just the ones that didn't respond, I'll put in the databases inactive if I hadn't seen them play in a game in the last month, 2 months.
Okay. Yeah.
On that status. Not that status really means you're not welcomed or nothing. It's just that, like I said in the one post there, it's just where we can see what the depth of our bench is for the games.
Yeah. Well, and the guild has gone through. I've been around long enough, and I know you've been around in the guild long enough to see that there's kind of players kind of come and go sometimes, and that's okay. That's fine. That's a great thing. Somebody will drop in, play for a few sessions, or get their character up a few levels. Kind of. Sometimes they disappear. Sometimes they come back later on, or whatever. But one of the interesting things I've liked about the guild is watching. Not that I ever want to see anybody go. I mean, I hate to see people go. But it is always new to see when fresh blood comes in too. I shouldn't say fresh blood, like,
I like fresh blood.
maybe raw recruits might be a little better word. Maybe or, green recruits.
Though I'll have to start up the one thing I guess I'm going to maybe endeavor to do is start up a wall of remembrance for any of the guild members that pass on in the adventure. Because we almost lost on this last one, what, 2?
Yeah, probably.
Because I know David's Dark Elf, it actually died a couple times. If I wanted to be real mean, it would have been dead because of the massive damage. And the same, and Oral went down, I think, there on the one attack there.
Well, Oral and Fletch were both swallowed by the snow snake at one point.
Yeah, but I think it was Oral was down to 1 hit point or something like that, or he just barely. And then the one time he fell back because he was, I think, it did die and was making death saving throws. So
I don't remember exactly who he used it on, but I know Fletch did use one of his healing potions. And I don't think he used it. I don't think he used it on himself. I don't think.
And so, but it may be a good idea. So in case we do have some that do pass on, that we can give them due honors.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
But it's something to think on.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're about 5 minutes over the projected time, which ain't bad for my gums. But if you don't have anything else, Fletch, then I'll stop the broadcast.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, to all that may watch or watched or will watch, I thank you for your time, your energy, and your investment into the guild with your time. And may these videos, between the guild talk to the game reviews after our games, and I know we haven't had one on the one game before, that just time didn't allow, and I've been a bad boy on that one. And the videos, we hope you enjoy them all. Hopefully we're hitting you where you feel comfortable, and making you feel comfortable as one of the family or one of the guild, and so you can enjoy your time and effort. And with that, I'll stop the broadcast.